Hey, friends, welcome back to How to Grow My Small Business. I'm your host, Lindsay Fletcher, and today we have a special guest. Her name is Gabe Cox of Redhot Mindset, and I'm so super excited for you to hear our conversation. We talk all about incorporating our faith into our business, how Gabe lives without social media as a business owner, how she evaluated her return on her investment when she was on social media, and what she does instead of using social media for marketing. She also hosts an online summit called Grow Your Biz Without Social Media, and I'm super excited because I will be speaking at the summit in 2026. So if you haven't already, join my email list so you don't miss out on getting signed up for it. It is a wealth of knowledge, and it will give you lots and lots of ideas on how to market your business differently, maybe even better than you're doing it now. So you can join my email list at lindsayfletcher.co. Now, before we dive into my conversation with Gabe Cox, if you live in the North Houston area, I want to invite you to join us for We Build, where we align faith and business by growing our network, supporting each other with best practices and professional development. And you can RSVP for our next meeting on November 4th at webuild.lindsayfletcher.co. All right. Let me introduce you quickly to Gabe Cox. Gabe is a goal planning and business strategist, and she is the founder of Redhot Mindset. She helps entrepreneurs personalize and take action on a game plan that works with their capacity in the different seasons that we all go through so that we can hit our goals without sacrificing everything. Gabe teaches how to market your business without relying on social media so that you can ditch the hustle culture for good. Everybody, please welcome Gabe Cox to the show. Okay, welcome back to How to Grow My Small Business. I have a special guest today, Gabe Cox. I'm super excited for you to meet Gabe. She is the host of Pursuing Goals God's Way. She's an author and she's a coach, and I was introduced to Gabe through her online summit called Grow Your Biz Without Social Media. So Gabe, would you please introduce yourself to the crew here, and we'll dive in.
Absolutely. So, on the business side of things, I'm a goal planning and business strategist, and I help entrepreneurs craft personalized game plans that will work for their capacity in different seasons so that they can go after their goals without sacrificing everything else to do it. I'm a huge proponent of keeping boundaries and having family time. We live in Colorado. I have three boys, all in different ages. So my youngest is in middle school. So that's crazy. And my oldest, we just shooed off to the University of Nebraska. He's an elite gymnast. So he's going to go finish work on his training there. And we love everything outdoors. I love hiking, running. We do tennis as a family. And I think we do that because none of us are good at it. So we're very competitive family. So it's really great for us to do something that none of us can really be like gloating about. Right. So it's a good time.
I love that. I love that. I'm also a huge proponent of boundaries and family time, and so it's fun to connect with other like-minded business women. Okay, let's just dive in with the faith-driven piece of your business. How did that come about? What does that look like for you? How do you incorporate your faith into your business? And I preface I don't know what the right word is, but I preface that conversation or that question with, I know I have a lot of faith curious listeners, meaning they are Christians. They want to incorporate God into their business, but like, what does that look like? Because we've been taught in the corporate America landscape that our faith belongs nowhere near the business, right? So what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I love this question because it didn't start out that way. When I
Sure.
started in business, I started as an author, so writing my first book. And as I was doing that, I was told you got to start a business with it, right? And so, like, I was kind of like thrown into the online world and kind of started my coaching side of my business. But I started really focusing on moms and goals, and like, really, you can go after it, you can go all in, and kind of not so much the stress less, hustle less that I talk about now, more the what everyone was talking about, the culture was talking about. You have to focus on it all the time. You have to do stuff for it all the time in order for it to happen. And that's just not realistic in our world as moms, as parents, as business owners. So it's got funny because God kind of shifted me. Now, my faith's always been an important part of my business, but it wasn't like the outright part of my business. So I didn't really incorporate it into there. But God kept pulling me and saying, it's not separate. And here's kind of an example of that. When we homeschool, I homeschool our three boys as well. Well, now just two of them because the one I don't have to homeschool anymore, he's graduated. But we did it in a classical model. And the whole idea behind it is that in the modern classroom, in the public school, everything is separate. Science is separate from math, is separate from English, is separate from gym, all the things.
Yep.
Well, the whole point of classical is that everything is interconnected. So you have this circle that everything kind of points into the middle, but they're all also connected. So science is connected to math, which is connected to English, but it all centers around knowing God and making him known. And so that's kind of how we modeled our classroom. So it's kind of helped me think like, why don't we do that in business? How can we model every piece of our life and they're not separate. Business isn't separate from life, isn't separate from faith, isn't separate from goals, all the things. They are interconnected. And so it kind of put me on that trajectory of I need to make my faith a part of my business because it's not about me. It's about glorifying God. Like everything I do, the reason I'm doing it is because I feel like I'm called to it. Now, it doesn't mean we can go off on a tangent on what a calling means. And if you're only called to one specific thing, which I don't agree with, but at the same time, where I'm feeling led, I'm being led by the Lord and I need to be led by the Lord in my business. And that's why I started incorporating my faith back in.
I love that. I love that. So for someone who is in the faith curious stage and they want to do this, what are some tangible or tactical ways that you incorporate your faith into your business?
Yeah. So one of the ways is I would say I don't miss a quiet time, but I incorporate quiet time into my morning routine. Like that's a huge piece of my business, a huge piece of my life. I just want to be still for a short amount of time. It doesn't mean that we have to have hours long Bible study if our life doesn't equate to it. But sometimes I hear I'm just too busy for. And I used to say that. And I'm like, well, if I'm too busy for my relationship with my Lord, then I definitely have my priorities out of alignment and I need to keep them in alignment. So part of it is kind of having that check of what are your values and your priorities, especially in the season and the capacity you have. And for me at this point, it's my faith and then it's my family and then it's my business. And if it's not aligned like that, I am in pretty much disarray or chaos. So a few practical tips is get up in the morning and just thank the Lord for the new day. Ask him how he can lead, how he wants you to be used, how he wants to use you for that day. It can be as simple as that, but like take 10 minutes to journal a letter to him, to pray, to open a scripture and just meditate on it. If you're driving your kids around somewhere, just pop in a devotional, pop in. I love Verse by Verse Ministry is one of my favorite apps, but Steve Armstrong, he like goes verse by verse in chapters of the Bible. So I can just listen and it's in context. He talks a lot about it, but it like gives you that in depth, but I can do that while I'm driving. So just thinking about how can you incorporate it here and there. And then also when I start, like even coaching calls, like if you have client work or service-based work, before I start, usually I just pray and say, give me the wisdom, give me the strength to do this, like be a part of this with me. Just a simple like 10-second prayer. Those things help keep me kind of balanced and in alignment to remind myself that it's not about me, it's about incorporating him into what I'm doing.
I love that. I love that. I also, and I think I'm also a faith-driven entrepreneur, but I also want to be clear to our listeners that if God is calling you to be a faith-forward business, be a faith-forward business. If he's calling you just to serve in the area and use your faith in your decision making and in your in your day to day, do that, right? Like not everyone is supposed to be in air quotes, a Christian business, like calling yourself like Lindsay Fletcher Christian business, right? Like
right.
it might just be that you're called to be Lindsay Fletcher business, or I'm just, making up things here, but you may be called to just be a Christian in that space and being able to talk about it, but not necessarily like advertising it or marketing it, right? Like, so I think it's important to just like sit with God on that. I'm like, what are you calling me to do? Are you calling me to be a Christian forward facing business? Or are you calling me to be a business who bases our decisions on our faith?
Yes, I love how you just laid that out right nicely because some people think, well, I need it to be a ministry.
Mhm.
I need it to be I'm not doing the ministry. I'm not doing the work if I'm not outright in my faith in my business. Well, that's
Mhm.
not what it needs to look like at all. We need people serving in all different avenues. And I think about it also, we were called to work. Like we
Yes.
weren't called to sit on our bums. We were called to work, but that doesn't mean you're called to just Christian work, not just
Right.
ministry work. Everything you do is a ministry. Right. So if we think
Right.
about it in that way, when you were talking, Lindsay, about using it, like getting the wisdom, like, seeking him in all that you do in the behind the scenes so that you can serve well and be a light.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that you're over outright like sharing the gospel everywhere you're going, but you are in your actions and just in your presence. People will see that you are different and they will
Mhm.
see that you just live a very different life. And that will lead people in to have those conversations. But it
Yes.
doesn't mean that you need to have a business that says, yes, exactly, Gabe Cox Christian business. That's not even how I started. I
Right.
sometimes he does call us different places and then he pivots us that way too. And we just need to
Mhm.
be obedient to where he wants us.
I love that. I love that. Okay, we're going to switch gears because this is one of my favorite topics, and we could probably both talk about this for hours and hours. So, I was introduced to you through your Grow My Biz without social media. And it's been something that I had been doing prior to knowing about your summit. I think I found out about your summit through Stephanie Gass. I'm on her email list, and she preaches the no social media thing, right? And I had just happened to open up one of her emails, read through it, and was like, yeah, that I want to learn from these people, right? And so I removed social media. I still use social media in our businesses, in my coaching business and also our local service-based business. But I have removed social media from my phone completely. Like I don't have the apps, I don't have a time limit. Like they are not on my phone because I'm a social media addict. I'm a phone addict. And and I don't say that lightly. I mean it. I could run the meetings. Like social media addict anonymous, like I could run the meetings. So, how do you use social media? Do you use social media? And tell us all the things about not using social media and why
Yeah.
you chose to go that route.
Well, I don't use social media for anything, business or life. Now, I do have social media,
Okay.
but I don't use it. So
Okay.
that sounds weird. I didn't delete my accounts, but
Okay.
I started exactly like you, Lindsay. I was like, I don't want to be tied to my phone. Part of it was just seeing people in the world tied to their phone. You
Mm-hmm.
can't stand in a grocery line without pulling out your phone. You can't sit at a restaurant with your friends without pulling out your phone. Like to me, that's just disconnection. It's not
Mm-hmm.
connection. And so I thought, well, the best way would be to kind of dumb down my phone. So that's why I started. I was like, I'm just getting rid of it all. So if I have to be intentional to go on my computer to get on Facebook or Instagram, then I'm not going to spend as much time there because it's just not as user friendly as on the phone, especially Instagram. And so I started there and then I just kind of felt pulled like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And when it came to business, I realized I didn't really have any return on investment or on time on social. I wasn't getting clients from it. I can count probably on my one hand how many clients I've gotten from social media from hours and hours spent on there. And then I was also listening to others like Stephanie Gass. She's one of them that I was listening to in the beginning who started this trend of getting off social completely. And I was like, if they can do it, I'm sure there's another way. And so I was kind of in this place of being pulled like, don't do everything that the culture says. Don't do everything the gurus say just because they say it. Do what's going to work in your life. And so again, Lindsay, like we were talking about having faith be a part of your business, but maybe it's not the outright front of your business. I don't believe everyone should get off social media because we need good influences on social media, right? But
Amen. Amen.
we
Absolutely.
yeah, we need to be obedient. right? And social media was sucking my energy, sucking my time, and I was coming out of it more negative than I was positive. And so for me, it wasn't healthy. And so God said, get off, don't do it
Yeah.
anymore. And so I said, okay, I'll take a little fast. I'll get off social media. I thought, well, maybe 30 days, maybe
Negotiating.
60 days. Right. I had no idea what it was going to be like. I didn't delete the apps. I just very disciplined not to go on. And it did a work in me because here's
Hmm.
what happened. This is just what can happen when you obey. And I obeyed. I say delayed obedience is disobedience. We got to obey when he's calling us to it. I know it's hard. It's getting us out of our comfort zone. I was kind of like, I'm going to have FOMO. I'm not going to be able to keep up with my friends. My business isn't going to grow. 30 days after I did that, my podcast grew 400%. And I had been struggling to grow my podcast.
Hmm.
Now, I don't think it's exactly associated with me not being on social media,
Sure.
but it's associated with me being obedient and God saying, watch me. It does not have to grow the way you think it does, the way the
Hmm.
world says it has to. I will do it. I will make it grow if I want you here in this space. And two, it gave me more focus. I was able to
Yes.
put my time into something that actually was converting. And that was actually driving my energy and really helping fuel me along with my business. So I think in those two ways is why it grew. But then I just kind of decided to, like, we'll talk the life side of things. I was feeling a little compelled, and this might be a little controversial, but I used to post all the pictures of my kids and like
Yep.
brag about them and do all the things. And to me, it was vanity metrics. Like, look
Yeah.
at what my kids are doing and whatever. It was always just the outward, here's my wonderful life. And in the background, there was chaos. Right. And
Yes.
I
Oh my
also
gosh.
felt like, why am I posting my kids' stuff? They don't have a say in that. I feel like
Hmm.
they need to be able to have a say in what's going out because it's out there in the world forever for others to see.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of thought, well, I don't think it's really serving anything either. I really want deep connection. And this maybe came after COVID, but I was like, I want
Sure.
deep connection. I don't want like my 1,500 friends who really aren't my friends to see everything I'm doing. I want to text my friends pictures. I want to have that connection. And so that's kind of why I got off for life. The reason I haven't deleted them completely is because my oldest is now on his own and he has an Instagram. And so sometimes
Hmm.
I will pop on, and our foreign exchange student from Germany that we had in 2019 and 2020, I like keeping up with what they do. So I do pop on maybe like once a month and just go check their profiles and then I get off. That's all I do
Yeah.
on social.
Yeah. I love that. There were so many good nuggets that you just said. I want to start with your business doesn't have to look like anyone else's, and you don't have to be doing what the gurus say. That's something I preach on this show. And I will preach it until Jesus comes back. Your business does not have to grow or look like anyone else's. And while I think, of course, the gurus out there that are making millions and billions of dollars have a system that works.
Mm-hmm.
But for them to say, here's what I would do if I started over is kind of misleading in my mind because sure, you would do these things if you started over, but you now have the following, you now have the resources, you now have the funding, you have the people and the team behind you. So if you started over, you still have those resources. And if you're a small business who's just starting out or just just trying to grow and add to your team, you don't have those same types of resources. You don't have the same type of following. You don't have the same team in place to put those things into action. So I just think that following the gurus, while yes, they obviously know what they're doing in their space, it's really misleading for those of us who are not at that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to note about that is I'm really careful with who I listen to, like
Mm-hmm.
what voice is speaking into my life at any given time. And I also don't think we need multiple voices all at
Yes,
once. Now, you might change those voices depending
sure.
on what step in. But if you're trying to listen to like five people at the same time and they're all telling you somewhat the same, but somewhat different things, it's going to cause confusion. So when I look at who to listen to in the beginning, I listened to anyone and everyone because I had no idea what I was doing. And they all, like you said, they all sound like they know what they're doing. They grew the business. I can listen to them. I can grow it through that model. But what I learned is a lot of the people I was listening to were not in the same life stage as I was. They
Mm-hmm.
were single men with lots of time. No, they didn't have a full-time job. They could invest whatever they wanted into it, right? So like
Right.
I thought about that and go, what am I doing? I can't learn. I mean, I can learn from them, but they have no idea what is going on in my life and what I can do right now because I'm in a busy stage of motherhood and homeschooling and work and just all the different things. Like I can't sustain the level and the pace that they're going at. And so
Mm-hmm.
then I felt frustrated and guilty and like it wasn't going to work and a failure and I wanted to quit. But when I decided, okay, let me think about first, what is my main goal? Like what is the thing I'm really trying to accomplish and why
Mm-hmm.
am I trying to accomplish it? And then also like evaluating what are my values and my priorities in this season? And then what capacity, how much time do I have to work on this, right? Like I think
Mm-hmm.
those are important for us to think about. And then what stage am I at? What am I working on right now? Okay, who is that person that can speak into my life on that very thing so I can stay focused and I can clear the clutter and the chaos and have clarity. And so that's kind of how I look at what to do. One other
Mm-hmm.
example, Lindsay, is that there's so much information out there.
Oh
We
my
can
gosh,
spend
yes.
all our time learning. And this might be another topic for another day, but I've been like kind of tooting my horn on this lately is that you know enough. You don't need to know
Yes.
more to get to work. The problem is you're not getting to work. You're not in the action mode. And if you're not in the action mode, you're actually not learning at all because we learn by experience. And that way we can know what's going to work, what's not going to work, do more of what's working, let go of what's not working. And so I also think, depending on what stage you're in, learn that and don't focus on the other things because there's so many free trainings, free courses, free workshops, free YouTube videos, and we could be learning about a lot of different things all at once. So for example, if you are learning how to set up a podcast right now, don't go learn how to do YouTube. Don't go learn how to do blogging. Focus on the podcast. If a free workshop comes up that's focused on podcasting, great. Go listen in on that, but then do the thing, then implement and just kind of stay in your lane while you're working on that project. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's something social media sucks us into, right? We get on there thinking we're doing in air quotes market research, right? Or we're trying to learn something, but then we look up 3 hours later and we've wasted all this time, we've taken zero action, and then we're frustrated because our business isn't growing and we're not making money and we're spinning our wheels and we're on this continual cycle, on this hamster wheel that we just feel like we can't get off of, right?
Exactly. And that hamster wheel, it will get us going and we will stay there and feel stuck. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
where we just kind of get, I was not pause, where we kind of freeze and then
Mm-hmm.
we just don't know what to do because there's just too many things or too many ideas.
And then it goes back to what you said is we're listening to too many people, too many voices, too many ideas that are similar, but enough different that we don't know which one to choose. And then we get into analysis paralysis and we do nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And one other thing when it comes to social media is that I mean, we talk about comparison all the time, but that happens a lot when we're scrolling like, oh, they're posting reels every day. Okay, I got to change my strategy to post
Yes.
reels every day. Oh, they're doing this. So I have to do that. Or we just see, oh, that person looks so much further along than I am. Like, when am I ever going to get there? But you see the face of it. You
Mm-hmm.
don't see the behind the scenes. You don't know how many hours they're putting in. You don't know what their schedule looks like. You don't know what kind of team they have. And so sometimes when we can take ourselves away from that and just like hone in on the one or two things that we need to be doing, it really can clear up that like comparison or that feeling of being behind all the time. I think we
Yeah.
have that feeling of being behind, which is really frustrating because you feel like you can never catch up.
Yes. Okay. I want to dive into, you said you were seeing a lack of ROI, a lack of your return on your investment of not only your resources and but also included in that is your time. Tell us what you were seeing as far as ROI was concerned that made you go, this isn't working.
So when I was doing social media, I had a good strategy. Like I'm a very organized person. So I'm like, I'm going to have a system for this. I'm going to make it so it doesn't take that much time. Right. But I still spent probably a few hours a week on it. And what I would see is there were times, actually, it's funny because whenever I posted personal type things like running or a quick tip or thought on like that, something like a download that came, I got way more engagement from that, but it really wasn't as business focused. So I had engagements and I had likes, but I never really saw a conversion to a client or a sale or whatnot. They were always like very far and few between. And so and then when you post, because I don't have a team, I felt like, well, I have to go in and check it to see if anyone liked it or commented on it, because I got to start engaging there, get into the DMs, do all the things. And it just felt like it wasn't just putting the content out there for the few hours a week. It was, I got to go in every hour to check it. And so it kind of like email, I would say emails
Yes.
like that. You see, and I don't have notifications on for a reason, but if a notification comes, you're like, oh, this feels
Gotta do
urgent.
it.
I got to go answer it. Right. And
Right.
that's how I felt like with social media. So the return on time, maybe I could have streamlined that more. Maybe I could have been more disciplined, but I think it's just that addiction piece of it where you get that dopamine from that. Like you get that dopamine
Mm-hmm.
from, ooh, someone liked they commented on what I said and they liked it. And great, I'm going to keep going. So it's almost like um, a false growth, a false
Mm-hmm.
positive of positive ROI, maybe of where your business is headed. But if you're never seeing the sales or the conversions, then it really is just a falsity. And so
Yes.
for my time, I would say I was spending probably 3 to 5 hours if you count me going in every once in a while to look and see and engage and all of the things on social media. And I pretty maybe got one or I would like up to 5 sales in 3 or 4 years of doing it. So, but I don't think that's a really good return on time or
Yeah.
investment, right? So,
Yeah. So, okay. So you don't do social media. What do you do? What does
mhm.
work for you?
Yeah. So the main strategy that I use is connections. So
Mm-hmm.
I call it socially connect, but it's not anything about social media.
Right.
Um, but it's essentially collaborating like you and I are doing right now, Lindsay. We're having a conversation on your podcast. This is an evergreen conversation. It's going to be out there for the world to hear, and they're going to hear more about you. They're going to hear more about me. We're going to do the same thing on my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like I'm opening up to your audience. They're going to get to know me and my audience is going to get to know Lindsay. And so that's a really great collaboration. And that's a better investment on my time because it's not fleeting. Social media is so fleeting. Like you post once, it's there for maybe 10 minutes, maybe a day, and then it's gone. So that's why you have to keep reposting. And yes, if you
Mm-hmm.
can repurpose a blog post or a podcast episode, great. But to me, I was like, I don't want to focus there. That's the problem. It's like I can repurpose in all these places, but then I actually have to focus in all these places. And I only want to focus on one or two places.
Right.
So collaborating, I love like my event is my biggest lead generation of the year. It's a huge event, 5 days long. It's free. People come in and they're wanting to learn those strategies. What do I do if I'm not on social media? That's the question of the year. Like
Mm-hmm.
people are like, I need that secret because I don't like it either. Um,
Yeah.
but that's a huge one. And then just being a part of other events or teaching workshops in other people's audiences, like collaboration is huge for me. And then the other thing, well, there's three things. So that, and then my long form. So I really focus in on my podcast. I love podcasting.
I
I
do
can talk all
too.
day long. Yeah. And then you don't have to get ready. You don't have to put your makeup on. Though I have moved into YouTube podcasts now too. So I do use video, but
Okay.
I didn't for a very long time because I didn't have the capacity for it. And I said, that's okay. I will
Yeah.
focus here and grow here. I'm still not focused on YouTube. I'm focused on podcasts. So that's my long form, like evergreen strategy. And then I
Mm-hmm.
really nurture because people are like, well, then how do you engage with your people? How do you nurture them? Well, it's in email marketing. Email marketing is not dead. I get so many responses from my emails. I mean, that's where you and I connected the first
Yes.
time. It's because I'm nurturing them. I'm really created a system to keep in touch and I will respond. Like I do have an assistant who responds too, but I respond. I read every email. I respond too. And it's a really great way for me to stay connected. I give a little personal snippet in some of my emails so people can keep in touch with me because I think that's the personal side of things. People want to see the real and raw. But
Mm-hmm.
I have found that that has been a bigger return because if I have a 30 to 50% open rate of emails of,
Yes.
6,000 to 10,000 people, that's a huge return to maybe 1,000 views and 2 comments on a Facebook
Yeah.
post, right?
Or
So
22 views. I mean,
Yeah.
depending upon the day and the hour and the algorithm, right?
Hmm.
You never know what it's going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I love that you mentioned collaborations because that's something that I feel very strongly about is that the people at the top collaborate because they know that it's essential to their success, and the people at the bottom compete trying to keep each other down.
I love
And
that.
and I love that that is the main focus of your strategy because there's enough for everyone. There is it's an abundance mindset, right? Like it's a an anti-scarcity. We can work together and still serve our clients the best way we know how. And we're not for everybody. Like, we're not meant to serve the whole world and everyone in it. We're meant to serve the ones we're called to serve.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up because I talk so heavily about you're not in competition with anyone,
No.
even if they're the same exact business as you. And
Yes.
here's why. Because if you are a God-driven business on the back end, like if you have your faith incorporated and you're listening and leading into him, he's going to bring the right people to you because there are certain people who are going to connect better with me and my voice than they're going to connect with Lindsay and vice versa.
Right.
There's someone who in my community who's going to connect with Lindsay and go, oh my goodness, this is the voice I need.
Hmm.
And I think that's okay because honestly, I'm not looking for hundreds of thousands of people. I'm looking for 1,000 of the right people that
Yes.
I can share this message with. Whoever needs it, whoever needs to hear it at that time, or maybe in that season, because maybe they outgrow me and they need
Yes.
someone new in a different season. I will send people. I always say, Lindsay, I always say I should have a business in connection. I don't know how that
Same.
would work, but like I'm such a good connector.
I'm always going, I need to introduce you to so and so, and I need to introduce you to so and so, and we need to connect, and I need to do this, and you need to do that. And yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And
It's one of my favorite things.
that's the power of sowing, right?
Hmm.
It's the principle of sowing and reaping. It's not about sowing money to get money. It's about sowing time, sowing energy, sowing connection, sowing
Yes.
whatever you're doing, thinking about it in that servant mindset. How can I be a better servant? How can I influence or help that person even more? And I think
Hmm.
about that with other business owners. How can I be a light to their audience? How can
Yes.
I be a value to their audience? I never think about it as me when I go into pitch. I don't say, oh, I have this and I have that and I have that, and you should, have me in your community because this. I always think this is what I see in your audience and how I could help impact that a little bit more. Or this is the
Hmm.
value I think I could bring to your audience and to you. I just think if you lead that way, then you're just going to sow way much more fruit.
I love that. I love that. I totally agree. Okay, talk about your summit because I need the people to know.
I love it. So this came out of I was thinking about I'd love to run an event. What's funny, Lindsay, in my past days when I was younger, I used to MC events. Yeah, I loved MCing. I don't know why I didn't go in that route for a career. I thought about it like I should get back into it, but I was goofy,
I
funny,
love it.
weird. Yeah, break dancing on the stage and talking all crazy. It was fun, but I thought I loved doing that side of things. So an event might be really great for me to bring people together, to connect them. And so when you think about how do I have a message that's going to resonate, like that's going to be like I need that. I know that's a conference, instead of being like I'm just helping you grow a business or I'm helping you, like we need to be a little bit niche in that. And so when I stepped out of social media and saw the growth and the different strategies that were working for me and being able to focus in on just the few things and not have to do all the things, I was able to let go of a lot of things or delegate a lot of things. I was like, this message needs to be heard. So
Hmm.
that's how Grow Your Biz Without Social virtual conference came into be. And what we do, and it like go big or go home. I don't know why my mentality is still like that, but I thought, if I'm planning an event, I'm planning a big event. So it is 5 days long and we have so much fun. Usually I have 25 to 30 speakers and they're kind of on your own time throughout the day. You can listen to the recordings of them,
Hmm.
but a lot of people do like Facebook groups or different ways to connect and do community. Well, I
Yes.
always found in events, honestly, I never went into them and I didn't feel like they were that engaging. So I was like, okay, we're not using social because people are like, nope, do a Facebook group. My summit coach the first time said,
Yeah.
no, you should still do it. I'm like, no, this
No,
is a no social media event. Like,
you're
why
like,
would I do that?
like defeating the purpose.
Right. And even saying like, you should promote on social media. I'm like, why would I do that? Then people are going to think I use social media. So
Right.
for me, it didn't work that way. So I had to create a different atmosphere. So now we do live events every day for the 5 days. And they're like networking events where you get to meet other business owners and find people to collaborate with, speaker panels. So you get to ask questions to the speakers as you're listening to their talks. We do fun kickoff sessions. We do lots of prizes. And we just have a really good time. And what people say about the event is that they love the live part, the live aspects the best because they felt so connected. And it is faith driven. So my goal is that we're growing, like it's for faith fueled entrepreneurs who are looking for a new strategy.
Yep.
And it's to make social media optional in your business. It's
sure.
And not social media, social media marketing, because like I said, some people are meant to be there and some people like being there, but they are realizing that the marketing side isn't working. So they need a new strategy for that. And so that's what we do. We talk a lot about my Arise framework, which is, creating the assets, creating the organization, socially connecting with collaboration, nurturing with email, and then growing with evergreen content as well. And then evaluating, because I think it's really important for us to actually create a plan and evaluate that plan as we go, because then we can pivot. Because if we don't evaluate and we just keep doing what we've been doing without seeing any different results, that's in the definition of insanity, right? So we really need to be willing to pivot as things aren't working for us.
I love it. I love it. Well, I will tell you, as I actually upgraded to the VIP so that I have access to those talks on your private podcast, I think is where I have them. I listen to them and listen to them and listen to them because every time I listen, especially my favorite ones, every time I listen to them, I glean a little bit more and I get a little bit more clarity. So for those of you out there listening that are interested in this, I highly recommend it. It's a free summit, and then upgrade to the VIP because it is well worth your money. And I don't know if it's okay for me to announce it. Is it okay for me to announce it? I'm going to be
sure.
I'm going to be a speaker at this year's summit. So,
and we're super excited about it. So
I am so pumped.
Yeah.
I was just thrilled to find a group of people who were out there doing what I've been doing, but also follow it and preach it. Like, I think there's this thing out there that people think they have to do it to have a profitable business. And I just don't believe that to be the case. In fact, we're both living proof of it. You don't have to subscribe to that.
Yeah, you don't. And people are like, but how do you, the biggest question I get about my summit, about my conference is, how do you find speakers? Because if they're not on social media, I'm not on social media. Where do you think I'm fine? But it's just, it's all in connection. Like I find one and then they refer me to another. And then I just and it's become a snowball effect of people who want to do something, they want to do business differently. And so I now have kind of a plethora of people, and then from my conference, they'll reach out and go, I haven't been using social media. I'm like, great. Tell me a little bit about your business. That's how we ended up saying, Lindsay, you need to be a speaker. Yes. And so that's exactly how I find people for the conference.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. I feel like we could talk all day and all night about all the things. But tell my listeners how they can connect with you since you're not on social media. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, best way is just through my website, redhotmindset.com. You'll find Pursuing Goals God's Way, my podcast there. And I do have a free resource that might be helpful between now and the conference. If you do redhotmindset.com/marketing, then you can get a free Craft Your Business Strategy Without Social 3-video. Well, it's now 4 videos because there's a bonus video. 4 videos with worksheets, just like a mini course to help you out.
Love that. I love that. Well, Gabe, thank you so much for joining me today on this podcast. I am super pumped to be a speaker at your summit, and I was so excited to introduce you to the crew on this show. So thank you again for being here.
Absolutely. It's been an honor. Thanks so much for having me, Lindsay.
Of course.
Thank you again, friend, for joining me for another episode of How to Grow My Small Business. And thank you to Gabe Cox for joining me for this conversation. And again, if you are not on my email list, please do join that because I will be announcing the summit dates, and all of the information that you need to get signed up for Grow My Biz Without Social Media. Gabe's summit is educational and informative, and you will walk away with strategies you never even thought of. It will truly transform how you think about marketing, and it will help you build a strategy that is aligned with your faith, your calling, and without working 24/7. So join my email list at lindsayfletcher.co to get all the details on that when those are announced. All right. Friend, thank you so much for joining me again for this episode. I hope it was super helpful to you. As always, I am praying for you and I'm praying for your business, and I'll talk to you next week.